Part 3, the second Bitcoin halving in 2016. Now we're into 2016, but let me back up just a little bit into 2014 and 2015. These were the years where ICOs were getting wild. Initial coin offerings. Money was being given everywhere. It was so cool. It was so big that you would have these major conferences happening in Miami, Puerto Rico. They were called blockchain, like Blockchain Fest or something like that, or Blockchain Week. I mean, it was all these blockchain and cryptocurrency conventions. Those people were developing so much, and it was so wrong because they had the legal terms confused. They were considered securities. People were trying to make utilities. It was wild. So let me get into this 2016 era. Things started to get a little more interesting. By this time, Bitcoin had been around for 7 years. And while it wasn't exactly mainstream, more people started to begin to take it serious. The general public didn't fully understand it, but most people were like, isn't this just some kind of weird internet money used by hackers or something? But the conversation was starting to shift. More tech-savvy people, investors, and even some businesses were starting to see Bitcoin's potential. It wasn't just some underground thing anymore. You could actually use Bitcoin to buy stuff at places. Not a lot of places, but some. And there were even Bitcoin ATMs popping up in some cities. That was pretty cool. Adoption was slow, and compared to what it is today, it was just definitely growing. More people were curious, asking questions, and some were even starting to invest in Bitcoin as a long-term asset. You would start to see people educate on this. And that's about the time when I was on set working on a movie, and one of the pieces of equipment went down, and I needed support from somebody in Hollywood. I couldn't call a rental house. I needed an answer and a solution in a matter of minutes. So I did what any self-respecting filmmaker would do. Go to Facebook and say, help, somebody from the industry, bring me this part, please. And my saving angel was a guy by the name of Andrew. I will save his last name, but he's a cool friend of mine who's quite possibly one of the top visual effects artists in Hollywood, even still today. The guy's an innovator and an inventor and probably a genius. Anyhow, he saves the day. He rolls up with the part I needed in a brand new Tesla. And I thought, you bought a Tesla, bro? Damn, you're killing it. And he goes, yeah, I got a Tesla. He was all excited. And I was like, damn. And he goes, I bought it with Bitcoin. And I went, what the fuck? That shit's real? Bitcoin is real? And he's like, yeah, it's real. You got to understand, he's a visual effects superstar. He understood how to render huge 3D files, build farming systems with graphics cards, and that's the key. The graphics card was necessary for mining Bitcoin. At least that's what I understood. He and the people in Hollywood who were visual effects artists at a high level that had these graphics cards had access to studios to be able to mine the Bitcoin quietly. I don't know, or I don't think he did that at a studio, but I know they had the capabilities of doing this. So I'm positive there are guys out there in the world that had access to studio render farms that had the right graphics cards that were mining Bitcoin and killing it. I hope to meet some of those guys one day. But back to the story. So now I'm like, okay, this is real. So I end up finding more information and I learned, and I watched this documentary. It was pretty good. And then this guy by the name of Ty Lopez, hey, read my books. I'm in my library, in my garage, some cool stuff. Ty Lopez. So I joined his mastermind, his master class. It cost like, I don't know, I'm guessing $4,000. And it was worth every penny. You see, people don't understand. Ty Lopez is actually pretty genius on what he did here. Everybody thought we were paying Ty Lopez thousands of dollars to teach us about Bitcoin, but he's so smooth with it. He didn't teach us. He hired experts from around the world, took the money we gave him, and he flew them in. And then for the next couple of days, I met guys that really understood finance, transactions, understanding the charts, understanding how to onboard, KYC, what a utility is, what a security is. They were introducing us to things like XRP when XRP was 0.00, whatever it was. Stellar, I think it's called Stellar, XLM, Litecoin, all these different altcoins. So for 2 days, we went through a real hardcore course. Like, let me just paint the picture. We're at his mansion in Beverly Hills, and in the backyard, he had 100, maybe 150 chairs of people. And I wish I took all their names and numbers down. I blew it. What an opportunity that I just messed up. But my point is this. For a couple of hours, we would have one expert talking about one piece, and then another expert talk about another thing. And then we had these guys called, I think they were the Night Owls or the Night Watch or the Watch Owls. I can't remember, but I paid and I joined their team and they were brilliant. A guy by the name of Chase Hero. He really knew his shit. His team, this was the original teams that I learned from. I would follow them to Puerto Rico and different parts of the country. A guy by the name of Dan Fleshman. That guy's brilliant and very, very wealthy. Like one after another, Ty Lopez presented all these crypto traders that really understood what was going on. This scientist from NASA, Dr. Alex, I forget his last name. But that's not my point. The point is this. Behind the scenes, Bitcoin's community was starting to deal with some serious growing pains. As more people started to use Bitcoin, the network was getting crowded and transactions were taking longer and the fees were starting to go up. The internal challenges started to become serious for the creators. This sparked a huge debate in the community on how to scale Bitcoin, how to make it handle more transactions without losing what made it special. This was known as the block size debate. One group wanted to increase the size of each block, which is like a batch of transactions to fit more transactions in it, while other group argued by doing so, you could compromise Bitcoin's decentralization. It was a big, messy argument that really showed how passionate people were about Bitcoin's future. On top of that, Bitcoin was starting to have more scrutiny from governments and regulators who were trying to figure out what this whole cryptocurrency thing was and how they could control it. Too late. So I move on to this. In July of 2016, the second Bitcoin halving, just like 2012, the reward for the mining blocks were cut in half. And from 25 Bitcoins to 12.5, once again, this had a huge impact on Bitcoin's price. As the supply of new Bitcoins decreased, the value of existing Bitcoins started to rise. By this time, people were starting to understand the pattern every time a halving happened. It made Bitcoin scarcer. And when something becomes more scarce, the value goes up usually. After this halving, Bitcoin's price started to climb even more, and the idea of Bitcoin as digital gold began to take hold. Investors were starting to see Bitcoin not just as a currency, but more of a store of value, a way to protect their money from inflation and economic instability. The second halving was a major milestone in Bitcoin's journey towards becoming a serious financial asset. So that's my story on 2016. At this time, Bitcoin really started to grow up and more people were getting involved. The price was rising and the whole concept of Bitcoin as digital gold was starting to catch on. But with growth came challenges, and Bitcoin community had to navigate some pretty intense debates about how to scale the network and how to keep it secure. And up next, I'm going to get into something crazy. The third halving, 2012, where things start to get wild. We have the pandemic where the world shut down. We have Clubhouse, which is a huge deal in the success of NFTs. And just to remind you, none of this is financial advice, so I'm just telling a story and I'll keep it going. This has been Big Lou's Tech Talk. Thanks for listening. Catch you on the next one. Peace.